Hey, good evening, guys. Mark with the Plant Medicine Path. Tonight we got Danny Hallman. I just met Danny a couple weeks ago. Don't know really too much about him, but very interesting man when we had these conversations, and kind of wanted to bring him on tonight to talk about a few things. We're talking about shamanic breath work, medicines, integration, and things of that nature. But why don't we go ahead and let Dan introduce himself and tell you what he's about and tell you what got him to this path, and we'll let you go, Dan.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great connecting with you. I love what you be here and sharing in this space. Yeah, just kind of qualify myself a little. I work in the plant medicine realm. I work in the shamanic healing realm. Really, the esoteric, the metaphysical. That's really my vision of many modalities into that space to really explore consciousness and awaken to who I really am and help others. And the plant medicines being a major part of that. When I first started this path, and it's funny, traditional, very integral way. It's been about over 6 years. But the reality is I took my first years old, and it had a profound impact on me. I had a psychoactive garden, and my junior year of high school, my big report was a 20-page essay, Leary's influence on American culture. So it's been a part of me, my life, and as well as the being able to consciousness and pierce through the veil, so to speak, has been something I've been doing since I definitely a life path I signed up for.
Piercing through the veil. Explain that a little bit, because we hear that a lot about in the community, but some of these newer people don't know what that's all about.
Many of us think we know, and we don't even know.
Yeah, we don't.
Man, we could go for ages on this. So
yeah,
how I veil, it's we have this physical reality, our meat suit. You walk through the gardens and the trees, and it's a very clear, tangible reality. But there is so much more to the reality that we're existing in, and so this is entering the inner levels of mind, the inner levels of consciousness, which is really lasting us into, and so it's through through breath, through tantric practices, through plant medicine journeys. What we're doing is maybe our eye into a way that we're perceiving reality. So that perception of what's beyond this tangible reality is and that piercing of the veil, lifting of the 3D realm, astral dimension, and into higher realms, and and that's why most people have an ayahuasca experience and they believe in God, and it's because tangible, honestly undefinable experience in interacting and developing a relationship with higher entity consciousness, spirits, deities, whatever it may be, and it's that is always existing here at all times. We have to put in an effort to really get in. And then as we enter that, we become a childlike, where we have to learn a whole new world to operate in and to walk in.
Right. It's a beautiful path, right? It's beautiful once you kind of even see a glimpse behind that veil. I mean, even if some of us just get that glimpse, to get that full spectrum, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's terrifying. It's ecstatic. It's blissful. It's it's all of it.
But there is something more, and I think that's what we all want. I think that's why we come to these medicines. We come to breath work. We come to all these different modalities because we know there's something more. We're stuck in this kind of culture, this kind of lifestyle of going to work, doing this. And it's all about, when it comes to these medicines and when it comes to all these other modalities, I think it just comes down to we're all connected and we're all one. And, we all just want to be healed, and we all want to have a different vision and a different insight on who we are. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. Instead of that, it's clear it doesn't work, because it's not working for so many of us. Well trained, the paradigms that we've been initiated into, getting ourselves out of it because it's we're unhappy, we're miserable on a greater experience, and so that's what I see is really the world that is bringing us to these experiences, these very, very old ways of being, because there was still that connection, that deep spiritual relationship between human beings and in our environment.
Well, everything does have this evolution, this kind of cycle. And I think that's coming around, this cycle, because I think most of us, and we're not a platform where we're promoting any kind of medical advice, but, there are other options out there, and Western medicines in some instances do not work. I mean, especially mental health. I think psychedelics have a way to break some of that thought process of these things and bring us to a new consciousness and a new reality and get out of our old thoughts. So, let us talk about what modalities do you work with? How do you work with some of these?
So I hold ceremonial plant retreats. I work with multiple medicine. I have a background in massage therapy, trauma touch therapy, as well as a background in mystery, very, very initiatory exploration of mind, of consciousness, and breath work, rebirthing breath work, holotropic breath work. It's really, there's very few differences in the way I hold a breathwork journey, because they both have the potential to take us into altered states of consciousness, to a more expansive and truthful way, which then we get to figure out how to back out into this world with us, which is, I guess, what many of us are calling the
like breath work. When did society learn how not to breathe properly? I mean, we haven't breathed properly in a long time. Seems like, we've lost that ability to breathe properly. We breathe everything from the upper respiratory system, which, we've totally lost use of our diaphragm as we become older. And, it's so important to keep that whole system going there. I mean, breath is pretty important. And I don't think a lot of people understand. They understand we breathe every day, but they don't understand the importance of what true breathing is. And it's pretty important. And touch on that a little bit.
That's a fantastic question, Wander, and dig into trying to identify when and from many dimensions and in many ways back to trauma. So as I'm working with individuals in the rebirthing breathwork, is to basically move through time in our nervous to identify what's being stored, the data, so to speak, that are been running off of, because it remembers everything. And so the breath into our conscious, and in a sense regress into identifying and activating, and then releasing them through the breath work. So oftentimes it's called shamanic experiences for people to regress back to their birth and untangle and heal the trauma that is being born. And so it's the disconnection from breath often happens through the birth process in the world. Oftentimes this is from cutting the cord way too soon, and unnatural processes that we've developed and adopted for birthing children. So that's probably where I would go directly with that for now. But I in history to maybe identify some more cultural aspects of where it happened. But it's not even the breath, you know. It's our health. Where, you know, so much comforts that we don't take care of ourselves and and it's really heartbreaking. But at the same time, it's awakening. Some people are sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Yes, it is.
and it's like let's find what works. And for me, it's I can appreciate Western medicine. You know, I actually interesting. I find many doctors come into my spaces for their healing, their exploration, because so many people are asking them about it that they're like, I need to have a leak to it. And so that's really beautiful. And you know, I went through Western medicine with mental health and years of self-medication use, as well as being prescribed pretty much the whole entire catalog of 15 to 22.
Yeah.
And for a while, anti-medication. And as I grow and evolve, I realize, well, me time. You know, if I didn't have that, you know, so it's like really leaning into that you see the benefits of it, because on some level it's saving people's lives and within time. On the other level, it's we are not supposed to be on them long. They are
Right.
they will buy us time, but if we're not, it's with all things, in the effort, doing the healing, finding the healers to support us in healing the cause instead of treating the symptoms. That's where the true change, that's where the happiness, the health starts to come in. And so now we have a culture of people use medications for long term, and they're being told you need to be them on for the rest of your life. Now we're actually damaging our brains even more by the need chemistry from. And I'm not a science guy, so it's a
no, we're not. But we just have some experience on this path, so we're just talking from experience.
Yeah, and so it's you know, especially many spiritual growth and exploration. It's like when they're on medications, they have this cannot go through, and so it's you know, finding that balance. And like in even in the plant medicine world, you still see many people that are every weekend but doing nothing in their sober life, in their sober world. So it's not unique company, it's a human thing where we want the easy route, we want the easy path. And every easy path I tried only made my heart feel more empty. And so I'm now I adopt the commitment, the long term, let's do this path with love and really releasing the paradigms of achieving enlightenment. And it's like it's already here right now. Let's
it
get
truly is.
Get into the mess.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, we touched on some things when we were talking about like releasings of traumas and childhood and inner child. And you know, for me, I believe that this is why we all approach this medicine, because of our traumas. I think all these medicines are trauma medicines. And then that on top of it, a lot of this is lineage. So, you know, it's a lot of this is like deep healing work. And maybe a lot of people aren't prepared for that. And some of us are, and some of us aren't. You know, that's where the work starts, by going inside of you and looking at that inner child and kind of saying, hey, oh my God, why am I having this reaction? Why am I doing this? And, you know, that's integration. That's where the integration starts. I mean, you will get these insights on these journeys through your breath work or at different modalities, but you have to figure out why these are coming up, what's causing these. So you know, how do you feel about that?
It's let's find the core wounds and identify them. And I think we also get so caught up in identifying the story that we get so caught up in the mind loop out of us.
Right.
And especially working with like medicines like combo have really, man, we don't have to get into the stories. We just need to move the energy.
Isn't
We
that
need to release it. We need to let it.
Isn't that a great medicine? Isn't that, I mean, that's one that, you know, the start of my path here, I was like, really, like, why would somebody want to do this? But as you get on this journey and you feel that energy and you feel that movement of, I mean, that is a special medicine there. It's beautiful medicine, a cleansing medicine. You know, combo's it. Combo's the real deal. And there's so much value to it and so much healing just for everything, spirituality and health wise.
It really, the medicine is very, very unique and very powerful, and it's I've watched and helped people heal from major physical diseases, have spiritual transformations, and I've watched people feel that ever in their life, and to me, it's like all of that is so. And again, it's a medicine that really meets the individual where they're at, and really for what they need.
You know, and that's another one of those medicines because everybody's fearful about this purging, but you know, purging's part of the process. I mean, purging's not always in the bucket. Purging's a lot of things, you know. So, you know, that's a benefit of these medicines to have that purge, to get that out. That's the process. That is.
Yeah. The purge, you know, it's, you know, it happens in many ways. Interesting people that love it. Like there's something so satisfying about virgin ayahuasca. Because it's like I don't want to hang. It's why I'm here. Like if there's something I can't see that is stored inside, why would I want to protect it? You know, and that's what we do. That's it. Purge is that it's a release. It's a letting go of. So there's many ways in life that are great. Everything from an orgasm to, you know, it's like they're all energetic releases.
They definitely are.
It's like, how do we find, why do we judge some of them and not the others? And you know, a lot of the vomiting is really American vanity, you know, where it's you know, it's not proper, or maybe had a major, like the first just puked and had created this like aversion to doing that because it was in control. And you know, I've seen so many stories inside of people that have created such a fear of letting go. And you know what I tell them all, it's like, man, I do this for a living. Like nothing, I've seen it all. You're good. It's part of the process. Let's go.
Yeah, it is. It's that vanity. It's that people are so afraid of what others are. Even if there's nobody in the room, they're afraid of what you're going to think of them, or so worried. It's definitely a vanity issue. And, you know, it just goes back to how Western society, how we are just informed. It's pretty bizarre. It's pretty bizarre that we can go into this world and, you know, they'll hand you a prescription bottle, and that prescription bottle will have all these side effects on it, and we'll look at it like nothing. But somebody will hand you a supplement and you'll question it till you're blue in the face. But, you know, I guess that's how society has been established.
Well, this brings us to how we've been taught to give up our authority. You know, I know for me, it was whatever the doctor says is like, you know, whatever the school teacher says, we're going to treat it as law. And so we've given up our authority in certain ways. And I because it nails it. Like my grandmother, you know, she's in her 90s, and there was a while there where she was on an insane amount of medications and it problems. And and my aunts and uncles and just crying and just like, Grandma, you have to get off of some of these. And like, no, unless the doctor tells me that I need to get off, I'm not even honoring this conversation. And so it's like, and especially in like men that were really trained to give their authority away. And so her falling and needing a surgery, and her and the nurses telling her, we have every medication because we need to understand what your baseline is. And so from that experience, they got to a point where it's like, all right, yeah, you don't need any of these medications now. And she's like better than she's been in 10 years, you know.
Isn't that great?
And so it's, you know, I it's fun. And I also, to me, a big passion of mine is harm reduction, especially because it's a bit of the wild west right now, and
Yeah,
anyone can kind of just say I'm a shaman or a facilitator, and they don't quite the level of spaces they're taking people into, or they're downright abusing. And so I think as a community, it's our responsibility to start educating more nations,
Absolutely,
because it's also, I see that same thing playing out where the person they see that says, oh, here's an ayahuasca retreat, it's that authority being, and it's because we haven't been taught the questions to ask for, the signs to look for, you know, power ourselves and really advocate for our spaces from a number of reasons. You know, it's again, I think it's that same that we've been trained to and to do in many cultures.
right.
It's exciting. It's very exciting, you know, stepping into this work, and a lot out there pointing us to it, but there's not a lot out there telling us or how
Educating.
to
Yeah,
look
right.
for
There's
the for you. Like I talk to people all the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm actually not the person to we're just it's just you need something else that I don't give. And so um and so it's like, yeah, finding the gloves that fit the right containers. And there's so many flavors out there today, you know. There's very new agey spaces, there's very like agnostic spaces, and there's very traditional spaces. And so it's really, I'd like to see the community really start to understand how to really meet people where they're at, and finding really the right prescription for them. And then,
right,
yeah, a lot of the
because
education of, you know, these are the questions to ask your facilitator. This is what to look for. And I think once we get there, it's a lot of the harm that is coming to the surface right now will be alleviated.
yeah, maybe even kind of like a structure or a foundation for this these modalities right now. Kind of, you know, we need some kind of
I lost
platform
your sound.
that's
I can't hear
ethical. You sure? I can hear you very well. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Dan. Go ahead and talk. I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, it looks like on my end everything should be good.
Everything is good. We're going to close out. We're going to close out. Guys, we're having a little bit of technical issues. We're going to end this
Oh,
right now.
tech, man.
Yeah, tech. We are just rolling too, brother. We'll see if we can connect soon.